Larry Ogunjobi, we talked about it earlier. You said that he could come back. He was paid $8 million this year. What was the signing bonus? Like $6.5 million or something like
Yeah,
that.
6.2 or something like that, I think.
I don't remember what his stats were this season, but he played all right. Didn't practice for like the last 15 weeks of the season. Still ended up playing, which is, I think, is a credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could come back to Pittsburgh. I don't think it's being talked about much. You wrote about it today, actually. Do you think it's going to happen? And can you get him cheap enough to where it's a realistic option for the Steelers to actually make happen?
Yeah, I mean, I thought overall, like the numbers themselves are maybe a little bit disappointing or underwhelming
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
surface, but you really have to think about how healthy he was. Like you said, like I mentioned this in the article, he just really did not practice. Like he was
Dude, he
dealing with
didn't
all
practice
kinds.
for
Yeah,
like
he
the
was
last
literally
8 weeks
just
of the season.
yeah. I mean, it was a knee, it was toe, it was back. He
Yeah.
was coming off the foot injury from last season in the playoffs, which ended his season prematurely. So
Yeah.
I think that it's really a matter of, is his body gonna hold up? Like even if you bring him back next year, the year after, like is he gonna be able to get healthy? Or are these just nagging injuries kind of just unlucky? I think that you have to answer that question. Only he knows like what percent he was playing at last year. Only the Steelers know how comfortable they are with his injury history. I think a short term deal, like 1 to 2 years,
Yeah.
with that average per year being around like 5-6 million, I don't hate that. And the reason I don't hate it is because I think Ogunjobi has still flashed that he could be a disruptive player. I just also look at the depth behind him.
Yeah. You got
And
to
it's
worry.
just really
There's
not
nothing.
it's really not anything to write home about. You look at, Chris Wormley, he's a free agent. He also tore his ACLs. He can even be
Yeah.
ready
You
for the
can't re-sign
season.
him.
Is he going to have a team by then?
No.
Then you look at DeMarvin Leal. He's pretty much a guy without a home right now. He played some edge. He played some three tech, but I'm not really sure if he's going to be like a full-time defensive end. I don't even know if they know. It didn't seem like they had a plan for him last year. It seemed like they're still trying to figure it out. Isaiah Loudermilk, I definitely don't think he's ever going to be a starter. I think he's, if anything, going to just be a rotational piece. So, if you don't bring him back, what are you going to do? And are you going to be able to find somebody on the open market, just browsing the free agent market? I'm not sure that they're going to find a guy who's for sure better than him at that price point. Somebody
Yeah.
that's
And
going to
on,
come in
on top
here
of
not
that,
familiar with the defense either. So,
yep. On top of that, you have to find a nose tackle. You don't have a nose tackle.
yeah,
And I mean, are you comfortable enough with Leal and Loudermilk as your backups?
I
Because
am.
I'm not.
I am not. No, not at this point.
That's what I'm
Not
saying.
at
So
this
you're gonna
point.
have to you got to at least sign another 2 people, probably 3, unless you're gonna keep Montrevious Adams, which maybe that's their plan there.
Yeah.
But you have to sign a starting nose tackle, so that's gonna cost you a little bit of money. Might cost you a lot of bit of money. You gotta find a starting defensive end. So if that's Larry Ogunjobi, and then you have to find a depth piece, and then you gotta hope that Isaiah Loudermilk and DeMarvin Leal work out. So it's you're not gonna be looking big. You can't be looking big at defensive end. You just
Yeah.
don't have that luxury this offseason. You got too many holes. I think that they could do that and then maybe try to, I don't know how many times you take a chance at a mid-round defensive end in the draft and say,
Yeah.
this guy could work out. Maybe he doesn't. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think Wormley comes back, though. I think that's too big of a question mark. Then maybe you go out and sign a veteran late, maybe like an older dude, but I think overall that's a
At least
tough
if you
situation.
get Ogunjobi back, you can pencil him in as a starter. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
And a
don't
guy that played okay, like,
yeah. Yeah, and he was fine. It just you don't want to when going into free agency, you have to make those decisions financially about who you're going to prioritize. You only have so much cap space,
yep,
obviously, but you don't want to create unnecessary holes. And if that's why I think if you can bring him back on a short term deal, 1 to 2 years, less than that 8 million mark he played on last year, but if it's less than that and reasonable, I'm cool with them bringing him back. But yeah, long term, I mean, you definitely have to start thinking about the future of that position. I mean, you look at Cam Hayward; he's not going to be able to defy, father time forever. He can't
no,
play
you got
forever.
2 years left of this defensive line if you bring
Yeah,
back
you've
Larry
got to
Ogunjobi.
find some type of some type of youth and promise and future and potential up front, and whether that's this year in the draft or soon, or maybe they make a splash signing in free agency, even though I kind of doubt it. But
But that's the thing, though. If you sign Alex Highsmith, then you don't got to worry about an outside linebacker for a couple of years.
You
Maybe you
can
do.
invest
Maybe
a little bit
a
more
couple
on
of
the
draft.
defensive line.
Yeah, the offense is super young, and the guys that need to be paid are paid for at least the next 2 years, 3 years. I mean, maybe you just start investing
I
super
think
heavy
this
into
is
the
gonna,
defense in the draft.
yeah, I think this is gonna be a pretty defensive heavy draft if I had to guess. I really
Yeah, me
think.
too. There's too many holes there. The offense is super young. Outside of 2 guys that people say should be replaced, that I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't even know if the Steelers want to replace them. There aren't holes on that offense. It's actually like it's just young and needs to figure out the quarterback.